Alright, so I'm working on my 89 Ram 50, doing a V8 swap to it. Putting a small block Mopar in it. As you can see, I've got room clearance here on the passenger side. I've got some clearance here on the driver's side. The starter is very close. I want to try to raise the engine up an inch or so, because I really don't have a whole lot of room here in front. As long as that gives me room for everything in back, I'll be fine. On the front here, what I've figured out is, so far, and underneath here, for the starter right there, the steering was in the way. So I've removed the steering box. I'm going to switch this over to a rack and pinion steering, extend that fork out a little bit. Instead of having the tie rods on the rear of the front tires, I'm going to move that all to the front of the front tires, which means different steering knuckles, wheel bearings, and all that. I do have room here underneath, kind of dark. Let me get a light. As you can see, I got some room here to work with. I do got to cut out the transmission tunnel a little, right there where the shifter would go up through. It is hitting. I may have another ear right up there on front, right in front of where the slave cylinder would go, and I may have to do some work there. I may just shave that ear off the transmission tunnel. Not totally sure yet on that one. I did find for the steering to move it in front of the front tires. There was a couple different choices I found. Looks like a Crown Victoria. I know it's not Dodge parts, but it'll work. They've got bigger brakes. This had 10-inch brake disc brakes on the front. The Crown Vic has 12s, so that'll give me better braking. But as you can see, the whole underneath of the truck is pretty solid. Still currently got the factory Ram 50 rear end in it. I'll see how long that's going to hold up. Not a big deal, because I'll swap that out later on. Everything's still pretty solid. Got some rust, but nothing real too major. Got all the exhaust pipe out and everything. I bought this truck from a guy, or from a car lot, I should say. And the previous person who had it actually built the truck with a 318 in it and a 904 transmission. He did not have that hooked up properly, so the truck never did shift operate properly. It's got a roll panel in back. So I've had the truck for a few years, and I finally just pulled it into the garage there a while back and started messing with it, and so far that's what I have found. So my thoughts here are on the transmission tunnel, just since I got to bring it up a little bit, is maybe cut it out up here, down through here a little bit, and then have that just come up and then back down, and then fill in any gaps and such. It is a factory automatic. Still got the automatic shifter in it. I'll be possibly removing that. Not totally sure yet. I don't know if I can find another cluster that would have an RPM tack in it. That way I can remove this hideous thing off the dash. And then he's also put a temperature gauge in it and oil pressure gauge. Temperature gauge on the dash does still work. He had it hooked up from the factory one, but as you can still see, even the floorboard still pretty solid on it. It's got a sunroof. He had these seats hooked up in it. They don't look too bad. Nothing was bolted up as far as the seats go. So just been doing some work to it. Here's that again. Front bumper has a big dent on it. I'll see if I can't find another one, maybe even a new grill. I've got the old grill. It could work. Got an emblem that was there. I don't know how to turn this camera back around, but we'll get this taken care of. Got some different wheels for it. Right now I'm just working on getting the brake lines pulled out. Going to remove the gas tank, do some work there. So far I've just got the 318 that I'm going to put in it. It is a Magnum. As you see there, it does have the Magnum motor mounts. This here is a 360 that is currently sitting in the truck. I'm just using it for mocking up purposes for right now. I am debating on boring out this motor, throwing a stroker kit on it, maybe going with a set of trick flow heads. I do got to remove this brake line that goes down through here. I'm going to reroute it to come up underneath where the steering wheel be, and take that steering shaft, extend it out up here to the front where I plan on putting the rack and pinion. This does not have the Magnum truck oil pan. It is an A-body style from what I understand, so it's got the mid sump. There we go, there's a clear picture of it. So I ordered that. Can't think of exactly what company I got that from right now, but I did not order just the pan. This pan kit came with a dipstick tube and the sump. That way it works instead of the rear sump pan. I will be running headers. That's going to be a story all on its own. Get those custom made because they are not going to fit from any other vehicle. This, as you can see, the starter is just going to be in the way. There's just not enough clearance there. I'll get that part taken care of. I'm going to redo this cluster mess of brake line. How the factory ever intended for that to work, I have no idea. It doesn't look clean. It's a mess. They've got one line coming out the front into a direct splitter. Feeding one of the brake lines up front, and then it goes into another split, feeding one of the rear brake lines and the other front brake line, front wheel, and then the other line coming off the master cylinder feeds the other rear wheel. So I'll hook it up the way most of the other ones are and see if that works. If not, then the brake lines will all be ran and look pretty, and I'll take it from there, redo it if I need to. I'm going to try to use the same gas tank. I don't know if I'm going to go with an in-tank fuel pump, out of the tank fuel pump, get some wider wheels for the back. I do have wheels that I want to put on the front. They are on top of the truck right there. I don't know how well I'm getting my face in this picture, so if it's a little bit off, whatever, it happens. I'm not perfect, nobody is, but I do want to try to keep this truck looking as much stock as possible. The cap, that's debatable. I don't know if I'm going to keep that on there, take it off, what's going to happen with it. So if you guys want, stick around. There is a small hole in the floorboard there that needs patched. Got another one over there on the opposite side, same exact spot, just opposite the truck. I'll be repairing those. Got that steering wheel. Dash is in good shape. Not seeing any cracks in that, but that's my truck. So stick around. Maybe when I make another video, keep some updates on this project and see what else.